Shout out to the Green Gang in the chat.
Which communication style works best in relationships? I'm gonna play this clip.
To understand there are forms, expressions, and styles of communication. We have assertive communication, which is the only communication style that works in a relationship because it's self-advocating, but it has validation and empathy. And then you have passive, passive-aggressive, and aggressive communication, and you need to know those styles. And also in conflict and misunderstanding, what style does that person actually operate in? Because I can naturally be a passive or a passive-aggressive person. And then when I'm in conflict, I can be aggressive. The only one that's going to work is assertive because it's still telling you that I understand what you're saying. Even though I may not agree, I understand. I feel how you feel, but it won't work for me without actually being disrespectful. So you have to be able to identify that. And a lot of couples don't know how because we think when we come into relationships that my communication works, that we're morally elite, that this works. And so
but
it's
it might not work for whoever you're dealing with.
Not exactly.
All right, there you go. Which communication style works best in relationships? Go ahead and go to Sir Hale on this one first.
That's a really tough one because there's no one size. It really depends. I think instead of the focus on what communication style, I think the biggest part is our listening styles. I think that if we worked better to be better listeners to each other, we can facilitate a person's comfort for how they communicate. So like I said, there's no one answer for this one. Different personality types, different topics, different phases of life. There's a lot of things that can change. You can be assertive. I'm an assertive kind of guy, but there are some times where I need to chill a little bit. You know what I mean? And kind of approach it just a little bit differently so that my wife can hear it and receive it and digest it, right? So I think that depends. I think in this, though, it's about how you listen and how you make a person feel comfortable with talking to you about what's going on.
All right, go ahead, Trigger Mike.
Oh, you see me writing, huh? Okay. So I'm gonna disagree. Well, I don't know if it's a true disagreement with. I think it's a different perspective on this. So what I did, I wrote down what that lady said. She said assertive, passive, passive aggressive, and aggressive. Is that correct?
Yes.
Absolutely. So what I just noticed is that the way I grew up, every time I hear these type of discussions, I think of what type of communicator am I? Who did I get it from? So I want to reference my father. I believe most foreign men, just like African men, like my dad, they are super assertive communicators. Super assertive communicators. I inherited that from him. And what I've noticed is that passive, passive aggressive, I think that's the way we communicate in the Western world. That's the way, unfortunately, women communicate a lot to their men through a passive aggressive style of communication. And what I've noticed is that all foreign men and all those type of cultures that practice assertive communication, women actually stay with them. Only in this Western world where everyone's passive aggressive communicators or too passive because they let people bulldoze and run over them, or too aggressive where it can get into the DV situation, those relationships are in trouble. So I think only assertive communication works, especially when you look at modern times where how we're communicating it to the masses. Red pill content is assertive communication. And what I've noticed about it is that after you've said it, there's nothing else to be said. It could have been rude, but after you've heard it, that's exactly how that man or woman feels if they communicated it in an assertive manner. Now you just have to work on how you deal with it.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Humble Dad.
That was really good, Trigger Mike. I would say being assertive, if we're going to go with the ones that she gave, because all the other ones leave a lot of room for arguments to take place, or trying to figure out what it is that you really wanted to say, or what's the innuendo that's going on. Are you trying to say something that I'm not picking up? As opposed to being very honest and open about what it is that you feel. Like for me, I'm an assertive person. And I tell you exactly what I mean, and I'm saying what I'm saying. But the thing of it is, like Trigger Mike said, because other people talk in passive aggressive ways or just passive ways mostly, they think that I'm talking like them. And so they would say, so what you're trying to say is, similar to that Jordan Peterson video that went viral years ago. Like he was saying exactly what he wanted to say, but the woman kept saying, oh, what you're saying is no, you need to hear what I'm saying and go from there. Now, I do understand that at times when you are assertive, because you also got to know your audience, right? You're being assertive, so you got to say, okay, who am I being assertive with? And I have to make sure that on the person that's going to receive what I'm communicating is going to receive it in a way that the conversation can move forward, right? So I would say assertive would be the best option out of those four, but also keep in mind who is it that you're talking to.
I look at this from a. Oh, go ahead, JR. You about to say something?
Nah, go ahead, Mr. Lego.
Oh, I look at communication, contextual, just like I said about the last thing. Somewhat like an offensive lineman. Sometimes it's the aggressive, assertive. You know, you got to hit them in the mouth because of the running play. But when it's a passing play, it's a certain amount of like, you know, you back up a little bit. You feel me? So if you just approach every situation or every argument the exact same way, you know, depending on, regardless of who it is or regardless of the situation or whatever, you're going to have problems. So being assertive doesn't work in every situation. Like, for example, what if you wrong? You just going to be assertive when you wrong? No,
Yes.
you got to back off a little bit, you know? And it's a rule that I follow and I teach called never be the first victim. So if you feel like you were wronged and they feel like they were wronged, you can be assertive and that will cause you like, you did this to me, da-da-da-da. And now you cause problems because they feel like you did something to them. So instead of always just trying to hit somebody in the mouth, like on a running play, like pay attention, read the room. Because sometimes you have to be passive, you know, and it's not, that doesn't sound manly, right? But at the same time, like Sir Hale said, you got to know when to listen and just, instead of just jumping off at the line and just, you know, you're going to fall on your face sometime, depending on what type of running play it is. So you got to know, you got to read the room, read the defense, and know when to lunge forward and when to back off. So don't be the first victim means allow the woman to be the first victim. Let her deal with whatever's on her mind or on her heart. Be a little passive, chill out, listen to her, and then be assertive. But all this assertive stuff, it sounds cool, but it just doesn't work on every play, like in football.
It's not aggressive. It's assertive. Like, okay, I'm not going to even address your point. That's your opinion. I believe in being assertive with open and active listening. Right? But why would I be arguing the truth? What's wrong with being assertive with the facts? This is what it is. I understand you might feel a certain way about it, but this is what it is. And again, if your woman was smarter than you, greater than you, or right, she should be able to prove that point at that time, correct? So what's wrong with being assertive and you correct? If I'm wrong, why am I arguing with you? As a man, that's dishonorable. My girl was white. I was wrong.
But what if you think you are right and you're wrong?
I wouldn't.
No.
If we're talking about in the context of us having a debate or argument, why I wouldn't bring it up if I thought I was wrong.
But what if you think you're right? That's the question.
I'm not going to argue about it unless I'm right.
But you may think you're right and you're wrong. That's what I'm saying.
No, you might think you were right and you're wrong. It wouldn't be an issue with me if I wasn't right.
What? Okay.
It wouldn't be an issue with me if I wasn't right.
What I said was you may think you're right and you're wrong.
No, I'm right.
Saying.
I'm right. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a discussion.
Okay.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think everybody made great points, of course. I definitely respect what Trigger Mike was saying about the East, African cultures and how assertive. But I really like what Sir Hale and the approach of Mr. Let Go spoke of, because at the end of the day, And Ricky, I appreciate you too, because you keep it 100. But we got to be honest. We dealing with women here. It's not always about the facts with women. It's not always about what makes sense with women. It's like I said the other day on my page. Men listen with men sometimes wear their hearts on their sleeves, but women wear their hearts on their ears. So it's not really about even assertiveness or passive aggressiveness. Sometimes it's really just sometimes about your word choice, and to really pick the right words, like Sir Hill said, you got to re-listen, because you could tell somebody what they don't want to hear in a good way or the bad way. They still gonna be offended. So why not at least take the high road? If I tell somebody, hey, your breath stink, or I say your mother effing breath stink, I'm telling you the same thing, but I could say it in a way where it kind of arrests you, so you don't. It makes you put you in a state where you don't have to just jump back at me. So it's really just you really have to play it by ear. You know what I'm saying? Because women are not listening to the facts. That's why we in a situation in the first place. Not listening to the facts.
No, hold on. You in that situation.
I never said I was.
No, hold on. And I'm not. This is just me being rhetorical, right? I'm not trying to throw shots. What I'm saying is this. I would not be with somebody or involved with somebody who gets offended when I present facts to them.
I agree with that, but at the end of the day, we're dealing with women. So
right.
A woman could be. So let me respond, because I was still talking. When you're dealing with a woman, she could be. We're dealing with women, bro. They change. So you could be with a woman who's been consistently a good disposition for about 7 months, but today she goes left. Women are not fixed emotional creatures. They emotions vary. So it could be a woman who's always been agreeing with you, who always understands your position, but that day she may not do that. So all I'm saying is you still have to be flexible. You can still get your point across without being a punk. You can still be assertive. You can still be direct. I like being direct more. I'm assertive, but I like being direct.
Assertive is not being a punk, nor is it being aggressive.
No, I don't think it is. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. So
I agree with you, but I'm just saying you can still say what you need to say directly without offending her, because women are very sensitive and they don't listen to words. They go by how it feels.
Hold on, Illa. Hold on. Again, if we want to keep saying up here that we understand the nature of women and we supposed to be men, her emotions do not matter when the truth is being presented.
The truth is the truth. The truth could be soft or hard. It's still
exactly. So why should I move out of my masculine state of being assertive to save her feelings when I'm telling her the truth?
Assertive is not tone.
I'm just saying
it's not about the truth all the time.
That's digestible to her. It's like if I'm dealing with a child. If I got a child, right? She's 4 years old. She's wrong. I'm not going to come at her like I'm gonna come at my son, even though they might do the same thing. She's a child. So you can still you just adjust your message for the audience, but the message is still the same. Being a man also knows when to make like Mr. Let Go said. You could be run blocking or pass blocking. You're still blocking, but it's just modifying it. That don't take away from your manhood. That's really giving you an advantage, because
that's what I said.
She got you don't mean she always got you.
That's what I said. I think this is why it's important to know what words mean, right? Assertiveness is not about tone, right? It's about what it is that you're saying. And just so that everybody knows, from Berkeley Wellbeing Institute, the ability, assertive communication has been defined as the ability to speak and interact in a manner that considers and respects the rights and opinions of others while also standing up for your rights, needs, and personal boundaries. Okay, so that's what assertive means. So you are reading the room, but you're also giving your perspective in a way that can be that is communicated in a way that they will receive it. So I think what you're kind of alluding to, you're talking about aggressiveness, and that's not what assertive is.
No, I'm not talking about aggression. I'm talking about exactly what you said. I'm saying that you can get your point across in a way that's dependent on your audience. You can still get your words across, it might take assertiveness, it might take passive aggressiveness, but as long as you're telling your story and telling your truth in a way that's not disrespectful, because sometimes people say, I said it, that's it. Sometimes you just have to be a little flexible. You could, just because you're being flexible don't mean you're giving into her emotions.
Passive aggressive is not good. Passive aggressive leaves room for interpretation. And so if you're communicating from a position of they got to figure out what you're trying to say, then you're on the wrong end of communicating, right? Like I'm talking to you right now. I'm being assertive. I'm saying exactly what it is that I want to say. And I'm always low key in how with my tone, right? But I'm just telling you that it doesn't matter about the tone. It's about how it is that you are talking to that person and you're respecting that person, right? That's why I say you got to read the room. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'll say passive aggressive is the worst communication style because it introduces sarcasm and dismissiveness. Like
that's a fact.
No conversation moves forward after that is presented. You know what I mean? So
I'll say this, fellas, we got to stop. I know we've been raised to you got to talk to them in a certain magical way, right? I know that's kind of how we've been cultured. It's better for you to be direct and then fix it later than for you to leave some ambiguity in there and you might as well not say anything, right? I think men have to be straight up direct, and we got to teach our daughters how to accept that directness, because I've learned this about women. I have learned this. Women will use emotions. They will use tears. They will act like they don't understand what you're saying. You talking too loud. You're too strong. You're too soft. Only when you're saying something that brings correction. You can't be too loud with praise. You can't be too loud with compliment. You can't be too loud with something they want to hear. It's only when there's some criticism that they have a problem with your tone. So I say to men, it's better to just be assertive. And then if you got to go back and fix it, hey, babe, I said that a little bit too rough. I apologize. And then you learn how to adjust from there. But too many of us put too much thought into how she's going to respond, which changes what we say. And that comes off as weak. And I think men have to be firm in what we say and let the chips fall where they may.
I totally agree. I'm all about direct and assertiveness. I'm just saying it's just a way to do it. It's not a fixed way to be assertive. It's not a fixed way to be direct. It varies with who you're dealing with.
My whole thing is you can't pass the ball on every play. You can't run the ball on every play. Every situation.
Why come you can't? Why you can pass
every situation is different and every person is different. You have to read the room. You said that yourself, humble dad. You have to read the room. You cannot just be coming in, just passing the ball left and right. And because reading a room is just like reading the defense. You look and see what they doing. And I'm not going to say what they do dictates what you do. But when it comes to conflict, it doesn't make sense to not pay attention to what they're doing. It shouldn't dictate what you're doing, but it does have something to do with what your approach is.
Exactly.
Hey, go ahead, Ali.
Well, the truth is always going to cause controversy, and it's going to make people uncomfortable if they don't want to deal with it. So to tie in the baggage conversation, I believe when you having a relationship, you have to establish how you're going to communicate as well too. And if we're getting to know each other, you get to see what type of person you're dealing with and what type of person you're not dealing with. And I'll bring my experience again in mental health in 15 years. When I was running a classroom, I was extremely assertive, and the teachers would get upset with me. But then when they ran their classrooms being passive, it allowed the kids to be able to manipulate and take whatever context they wanted to, whatever the teacher's intent was, and use it against them, to the point the teachers started resenting the kids. So when I spoke to the kids, when I spoke to the teachers, I said exactly what was going to happen, how it's going to happen. If you can't do it this way, this is the consequences and ramifications for this. So assertive, I understand everything the brothers are saying is very insightful and adds to this conversation. I believe there's a little bit of misunderstanding, but there ain't misunderstanding as well too if we're looking at the context of the words. But I believe when we're being passive, it leaves too much in the air for something to be misinterpreted. And I say this from my experience of women gonna tell you exactly what they mean, and they're gonna mean what they say. Most women aren't passive. They're gonna tell you exactly what they want, and we have
what?
And don't care how you feel.
What? They ain't know what. Women tell you exactly, and whether they know what they want or don't want. What I'm saying is that they're gonna communicate exactly what they want from you. That's what.
But they don't know what they want.
I just said whether they know what they want or don't know what they want, and whether you want to say they act childish or not childish, they're gonna communicate what they think they want. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. They're just gonna babble, in other words.
Yeah, I already said a lot of women will speak with forked tongue, but they're gonna be assertive. They're not gonna be passive. It depends on the woman you're dealing with as well too.
See, that's the part I have an issue with.
That's
I think they're gonna get the message across.
So tell me how you believe that women aren't assertive.
They're very passive aggressive.
How?
Most women, in my experience, is extremely passive aggressive. You know, you got to figure shit out, but they upset. You don't even know why the fuck they upset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't know why what the fuck is wrong with you?
Because a lot of women don't know how to communicate how they feel. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest misnomer that people don't really pay attention. Women don't know how to communicate how they feel.
Women are the creators of the phrase, I shouldn't have to tell you, you should just know. Like, that's how passive
right.
they are.
You know how often
they babble.
How often, I don't know y'all experience this, when I talk to women, they talk about your delivery, but their delivery can be as aggressive as they want to be, y'all. I mean, maybe my experiences are different, but they'll go, hey, what? I'm assertive. I'm not passive. But a lot of women will say, hey, I would listen to you. Kevin Samuels literally told a whole world the truth, and the main point why women say they won't listen to him is because of his delivery, y'all.
That's what I'm saying.
His delivery
because women don't know how to communicate.
No, but
they listen to him. They lie.
Women constantly went up there being assertive. They were not being passive. They were being assertive, and that's why they would go.
They actually weren't. They were babbling.
They was definitely assertive.
Y'all.
They were. It's one thing about being assertive, and it's another thing about being combative.
What are you talking about?
Aggressive.
To let go.
No, they were aggressive and passive aggressive. I'm sorry.
They were aggressive
and
passive
combative. That's different. They come up there babbling about dumb shit.
It's combative. Isn't it similar to being assertive? If I'm combating you, that means hold on.
No, it's totally different.
Hold on. I said it's similar. So if I'm being combative towards you, aren't I inserting am I not being assertive towards you? Am I not trying to put my will on you or not?
No. So here's why, Ricky. Here's why, Ricky. So assertive.
I don't want to keep going back and forth. The
now.
answer is no.
Hold on. These are your words, Ricky. You said assertiveness has to do with stating facts. These women would get upset at
and
facts.
babble.
They were being aggressive because they had no means to combat or justify anything that they would say in rebuttal.
So are we
That's why I keep using the word babbling.
Are we talking about delivery or interpretation?
Right.
Assertiveness is about delivery. Right, aggressiveness is also delivery. That's what communication is about. How do you deliver your message?
It's all delivery,
right? Mm-hmm. So what some of the men on the panel are alluding to is aggressiveness and how they responded to Kevin Samuels. If we're using him as an example, because of how it made them feel a ways, right? Because if he's assertive and they're just receiving it as the truth, they're not going to respond in an aggressive manner. Like, they're going to listen to the information and then they're going to give information back, right? So what you all are talking about is aggressiveness.